Okay. Oh, wow.
Good evening,
Oh,
everybody. I
good
want to thank
evening.
you for coming.
Okay.
This is Vivian, and I am asked to continue the discussions
Mm,
by Archbishop Idika Imeri.
okay.
Tonight is going to be very interesting. We're going to be talking about marriage.
Oh.
Yes, we're going to be talking about marriage tonight, and I want to have everyone participate. It's not a new subject. It's a subject that has been around for a long time. I don't want you to personally put yourself out there, but I'm sure
Mm,
you would have known about situations, in other marriages that you could glean from and learn from. So that's what we want to do tonight. We don't want you to put yourself out there. Welcome.
mm.
Hi.
Hi, good night. Is this
Good night.
Samantha?
Yeah.
Could you take some notes for us, please?
Uh-huh.
We're going to be dealing with marriage tonight.
Yes.
I'm so glad that you could come, and this is something that I think that you would like. So we're going to be the question tonight is, should you marry when you are young? And when we're talking about young, it's between the ages of 18 and 24, or should you wait until you're much older? Now, if your answer is yes, that you should marry young, tell us why you're thinking that way. What are the pros and cons of marrying between 18 and 24? Or what are the pros and cons of marrying a little older?
Mm,
Anyone want to say something? I'll start by saying that Hagar, she was young. She was married at a very young age, maybe infant. She didn't have anyone maybe to teach her or to talk to her about all what marriage entailed. And that's why I believe too a lot of mistakes were made. Some of us have made that mistake too, um, not being taught. Parents didn't take the time to sit down and tell us what to look for in a marriage, how to behave in a marriage, what you need to do when you get married. And so when you get married, you fail a lot of times for not knowing. Um, you're expected to just go in and know what to do right away. Um, that is not that is not helpful. It's not good, and so we struggle, with marriage. And sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes it does. So the question tonight is: should you get married when you are young, between 18 and 24, or should it be much older?
mm.
Hello, this is Maria. I think you should be
Okay.
much older, not so young, because you're still teenager in that category.
Mhm.
And yes, we do need the training. It's so sad that the training stopped around the 1843, give or take, because they were more successful than now on these days. And going into something that has a lot of responsibility, not everybody's fit for that. There's people that don't know how to manage money. They don't know how to save. They don't know how to cook. They don't know how to do the stove or anything. At least
Mhm.
the basic things, learn the basic
Yes.
things. If that's necessity, they don't know how to do laundry in the machine. They don't know how to do wash clothes by hand, uh, and it's hard. And then there's males that don't know how to do anything either. They don't know how to use the lawnmower, the weed eater, the basic things of a car. Make sure all the fluids are there. So these things are very important because nowadays it's a necessity to have transportation. If you live like Los Angeles, it's great transportation. New York has, depends where you're at, has good transportation. But the further you are from where the transportation is, requires you to have a car.
Yes.
I think if we were to go back and do some training before we got married, before you get married, and make sure that this is what you really want. Just like the pastor says, only here I heard, and people have said it, only here in America we believe in love. And I think it's true because, and I see this lady who is from Korea. They're different. You can't get married if you don't show your bank statement and to show that you're able to make sure that this functions properly, and then they have to know what your parents do and that kind of stuff. I like to listen to her because I learn about her culture, being that she's Korean. And they think that people in Mexico, they're very rich because they can have mangoes and fruits, but over there, it's something really precious, to have a fruit. And so
Yes.
also knowing about other cultures is very important. So that way, one, we are educated and we are not disrespecting without even knowing. Two, it's good to also know, like, what are the cultures that they have that is so different. Like, for me, when I was in Germany, I really enjoyed the fact that when Friday, Saturday, and Sunday hit, they don't wash cars, they don't do laundry, they don't clean house. It's mandated for them that they have to spend time with the family. You have from Monday to Thursday to do all those things. And I used to see them going to do trips, mom and dad and the kids, grandma and grandpa. They were hiking. I was trying to hike with them, and believe me, they were better shape than me. And even though I had to do exercise every day, no, they beat me by a long shot. And I was happy to embrace that culture that they had. Family time is very important. I don't think we value that. I think here in the United States, we are forced to chase and work for the money. And that's why there's a lot of kids that are not well raised as well. So as kids, we always look up to our parents. But even if you don't have a parent, you always have neighbors and uncles and aunts. But we need to somehow figure out how to rescue. Marriage is supposed to be something like teamwork, something beautiful, not something of a headache, We're not supposed to be shacking up,
True. I agree. And the family unit should be very strong. When you're not trained and know what to do, how to do, it begins to fall apart. And then you're questioning, what am I doing wrong? But then there's no one even to talk to. Sometimes you don't even see positive marriages that you could even approach somebody to ask a question, and that's where you fall because you don't have the support, from the older people either. So I think that we need to have classes, real classes, not the one when you've already made up your mind to be married, then to be coming and tell you should be doing this or you should be doing that. We should know all of this before we get involved. Then you know if you want to get involved or if you want to shelve it until a little later, if in yourself you don't think you can do it, I think you should leave it alone until you can handle it. But unfortunately, we don't have such classes, to help us before we make our minds up.
May I say one thing too? As
Yes.
men and women, there are men that do not want to deal. Here in the United States, we say baggage. Baggage means that you've been emotionally damaged or physically damaged. Some of them go to that far, and you haven't got any professional help, any healing or any deliverance, because it's a lot of a headache. They're not meant. The spouse is not supposed to be your therapist. He's supposed to be your helpmate in other things, and it goes vice versa by the woman. She's not supposed to be the therapist either and trying to fix all this baggage. Because if a man has problems with his mom, definitely he will have problems with his wife and his children. And if the woman is having problems with the parent, mom or dad, it's going to be a rocky marriage, so vice versa. So it is really important before going into a marriage that one is healed emotionally, physically, spiritually, and mentally. And there's nothing wrong with getting that help and getting deliverance and having that combination, because it just makes you a strong person. There's not a lot of marriage either that I've lost. And Hollywood is very good to portray the being married, oh, it's hunky-dory, everything is sweet and honey. But it's not true. In the real life, they have disagreements, a healthy disagreement. They have their ups and downs. And it's like there's a book that says don't sweat the small stuff, I think. And so it kind of teaches you, what to let go and then what to work out with your partner. It's not always about being right either in the argument too. So that's when one is really healthy. It just, you realize like, this is petty, I'm just going to take 5. I'm just going to go to the other room. So I didn't have that. And I didn't also have that luxury to see, a lot of marriage being like for over 25, 30. And that's the case. And I wish that we would have it. Even if you've been married and you've been divorced, it's just an experience. Don't ever think that you failed. Some cultures say, oh, you failed. The American culture teaches you different. Like, it's just an experience. Now, with the proper training, everybody can be successful,
Yes. Is there anyone else? Thank you, Maria. Is there anyone else?
Yeah, I really agree with what Maria said. That's a lot of information Maria brought up. Yeah, in addition to what she said, I think between those ages, let's talk about education. You are not even finished with your education. But let's even see, if you are finished with education, have you started working? Have you started making money? It's not just about even making money, taking responsibility. Marriage comes with a lot of responsibility. Well, there are some marriages, as soon as you go in, they expect children. And are you ready to be able to take care of children? Taking care of children is one hell of a problem. So at that, in these ages, the brain is not properly formed, as we learned. We know that there are some people who are young, but they are matured in their minds. But then, the majority of people, their brain is not properly formed at this stage. So they have not learned to take responsibility At that age, if you finish school, what trade do you have? Money, properties. I think some of the olden marriages we saw in the Bible, I think they had properties, farms, animals, and the family setting, so that people are around to help. But with our, shall I say, our system, or with new developments, this time people, everybody wants to enjoy. They want to live their lives, enjoy all the youthfulness before taking responsibility. So if you marry at this age, if you, one partner is ready, the other person, is that person ready to take to take responsibility in the marriage? Yeah. So between those ages, there are a lot of things to be learned. There are a lot of responsibilities. You are not ready. We are not ready at that age. But like Maria said, Hollywood has done very well by portraying that marriage is so blissful. Everything is rosy. And also people think that when you marry very young, you give birth, then after a while you are free, you can live your life. But the opposite is true. It's not true. It's not true that way. I mean, marriage comes with a lot of responsibilities, and I don't think at that age you are ready, or we are ready to tackle those responsibilities. So I don't agree that people should marry at that young age. No. They should get a lot of counseling. They should get a lot of home education. Maria has said a lot of things already. So, yeah, it's not advisable.
And I also think that when you get married at that young age, when you get older in the marriage, most marriages or most people, they grow apart. They become two different people. They're no longer seeing eye to eye. And you might not be able to appreciate the difference in your partner that you're now seeing. Everything was going good, but then things begin to get different. You begin to get older. So you don't have time to, when you are married at that age, to see someone else. To see other people, to get to check other people out, to get to check their character, vet other people, and see if there might be someone else that is more suitable to you, so that you can grow all together.
Yeah.
And then you wouldn't have to look outside, if you understand what I'm saying, because a lot of it, that happens a lot. People see other people that they would have preferred. They look at them and see how they, they do, how they get along, the responsibilities, the good jobs. They look at a lot of different things, the houses they live in, and they wish that, hey, maybe I wish I wasn't married so young, because now I could choose differently. And would be happy, because a lot of times when they start to feel like that, they're not happy anymore. There's nothing to keep them anymore. Someone else?
The word there is stability in yourself. Stability in yourself. Profound love of yourself. You are stable in the love of yourself. You are stable, like Annie said, in money, in making your own money. You are stable in taking responsibility. You are stable in compatibility and complementarity of the other person. So, if you don't have mental stability, emotional stability, your brain is not yet fully formed to be a stable person.
Yeah.
It's difficult. It's very difficult. There is one thing you are looking for in stability, both in yourself and in the other person. You are trying to avoid trauma, abnormalcy, and being out of order. That's what you are trying to avoid. Because the one thing you are looking for, in marriage is happiness. The one thing you are looking for is peace. You are looking for somebody to allow you to enjoy peace and to grant peace and to manifest peace. You are looking for someone who will give you that atmosphere for you to protect him or her. And that person should protect you by all means. So if you are not stable enough to be able to handle peace, to be able to handle protection, how do you think you can even be able to handle prosperity? Our parents were taught to beat children if they misbehave. Men were taught to beat their wives if they misbehave, so they think. Now that reveals that our parents themselves were not yet stable. They were not yet stable. And yet, these are kids raising kids. They were kids raising kids. One thing I like about my father was that when my father saw the other side of me, my father began to allow me to handle responsibility that he should have been handling. He knew it. My father knew that in his generation, he was not trained to be like this. But this young boy called Idika, imeri, wherever this boy came from into my father's life, this should be given, number one, supernatural responsibility of the family. Number two, business responsibility of the family. Do you know that my father began to allow me to run his business while he was alive? And not my senior brother. Stability and happiness is what we are seeking for. But for some people, they think that marriage is having kids, is having a man or a woman in the house, is doing things together. That's not marriage. You don't yet know what you are looking for. It's more than that. Or, in fact, what Vivian, the host, was just saying is, you drift apart. You will just drift apart without even knowing it. Because you don't even know what you're looking for. Young people have no business being in adult business. They have no business being there. Another reason why people should not get married when they are young. When you are young, you are attracted by a lot of things. Everything attracts you. It's like a little child. Everything a baby sees, they want to put in their mouth. Everything attracts a young person. Yeah, everything attracts a young person. So marriage is for people who are already stable and who understand that they're looking for one thing. Everything that can create happiness. Of what use is it for you and I to be quarreling every day in order for us to make sense? Do God the Father, do Jesus and the Holy Spirit, do they quarrel? Do they have to go through misunderstanding and trauma? Do they have to go through hate before they agree? No! No. They agree in everything.
True.
When people marry when they are young, it's the worst thing that has happened to them. Their future, in fact, if they stay in that relationship, in that marriage for a long time, they are staying there because they have nothing to give and they think they have everything to lose. They are staying there, they are ashamed of themselves. Guilt, shame, fear. That's why they are staying.
Yeah.
True.
And for the women, it is worse for the women and worse for the men because you are told the younger you make a kid, the stronger the child is. If I have made a child at the age of 100 years, did the child become an imbecile? Disabled?
No.
Was Ishmael and Isaac, were they imbeciles? Were they deaf and dumb?
No.
So where do we get this? Where do we get this that we must rush to get the children when we are young? Where do we get this? Who gave us this? I want to know. Vivian, you are the teacher. You need to tell us of something.
No, they say they're strong. They're stronger, and they, at that time, and they can bear them. They look at the strength of the woman.
Of the woman.
Yeah, they're strong, so they can bear them. They can spit them out. So that's what they look at. So that they don't want to wait, because they think the older they get, the more difficult it is for women to bear children. So they don't want to wait to their 30s and 40s, because they think they're going to be Mongolized. They think that this is going to happen, that is going to happen. So when you get them early, then you're sure that everything is going to be all right. So but
is having children the reason for marriage? If we want to go, is that the only reason?
But no, it shouldn't be the only reason. But in some cultures, they like to do that because they bring them in, they help with the farming, they help with this, they help with that. So they're a help to them. Not that they care about how they feel, not that they care about them like that, but they're there as assets. They look at them as a piece of property or something like that.
Yeah. And I think when I was growing up, what I was hearing most of the time is biological clock is ticking. I don't know how that term came to be, but they talk about the reproductive organs. When you are growing up, it becomes weaker. So you have to.
It becomes weaker when you are younger or when you are older. Which one?
They said it becomes weaker.
Oh, weaker. Okay.
Weaker, yeah.
Weaker. Weaker.
So they say that the reproductive organs become weak.
Yes.
The wires become weak. Is that right?
Yes. That is what I was hearing when I was growing up. So I remember in my university stage, it's like when people are not even in a relationship, it's like they begin to give them they give them names, and also like they are sort of weird things that have been going. Also, everybody wants to have a relationship, at least go into a relationship, and most of them is just because so that I can give birth. I'm married, I have children, and that is what I used to hear. So people rush in just for that reason. They say biological clock is ticking, So we have to get it out of the way and then have fun later, or have our have life later. That's what I used to hear. So most of the ones that I saw who married very early, for those reasons, that is what I heard, which is not okay, which is not correct.
The greatest fear I have is this. Because of what I've experienced, both as a priest in my mission to the world and to the church, to the people out there in the world and to the church. If you know how painful trauma is, and how some of us, we almost died because of marriages and having kids, I think people will think twice before they answer the question that Ms. Vivian is posing tonight. Pain, punishment, delay, disturbances, lack of peace, lack of being protected, neglect, being abandoned, rejected, is the worst thing that can happen to a human being. The emotional pain is worse than even physical beatings. The torture of you as a spirit the pain that your body has to go through because of the excruciating punishment in your mind and in your brain. The physical ill health you go through. It's not a joke. Cake and kisses, they are sweets. But pain and punishment ain't no joke. That's all I can say tonight. Because one trauma of marrying young wrongly can destroy everything. Your future, your past, your present. It will destroy it. In fact, it can even send you to hell. It can even send you to hell.
Wow.
The reason why you see me interjecting into this tonight, I don't normally speak when somebody else is teaching or ministering or manifesting. I don't. But it's because what she is teaching tonight is personal to me. It's personal to me. Because some of us, we almost died.
True.
We almost died. I almost lost my life. I almost lost Vivian. I almost lost Mary, my big mom. I almost lost Annie of Norway. I almost lost her. I almost lost Samantha. She has to flee for her life. Most of you have no idea what we are talking about. That's why a lot of people, they become gay, they become lesbians, not by choice, but by pressure of suffering and pain. And then at the time of their vulnerability, that's when somebody came to offer them a little help and they become what they should not have become. That's why some women men become haters, become angry people, because they gave birth to children when they shouldn't have. They got involved in relationships and marriages that they have no business getting involved in. Children are sweet. For some people, it's asset. I don't know how a child is an asset to me. I don't have kid for kid to take care of me. But the pain and torture that comes with when people go back on their words, on their covenant, when people change, when people abandon you suddenly, when people will not contribute to duty and responsibility, it's not a small pain. When, like Samantha, my big, the little money you earn as a teacher, the man in your life won that money. Many of you fled and you didn't have a dime in your bank account. I have to fly from Wichita, Kansas to Los Angeles to open a bank account for an immigrant woman, because the husband will not do that. Many of you do not know the pain that some of us have gone through. and why many of us, especially me, and all of you, in our small circle, must be heavily rewarded.
Amen.
Amen.
And we have it.
Amen.
Vivian, continue this. Let me stop. Continue with them. Because this
Thank
is
you.
just painful memories of what I have seen men and women went through, including me and some of us. That's why I speak out. I'll be quiet.
Thank you so much, Archbishop. What I was thinking about too is a lot of young people get married because they just want to leave home. They don't like the environment. You know, they're not treated well, and they just want something else. So they get into relationships just so they can get married and leave the home. And that's bad too, because it does not end well. Archbishop talks about all the pain and
and Vivian, you did hit something very, very strongly. They talk about people as they grow up, when they get married young, or they enter into a relationship when they are young, something happens. As they begin to grow, they begin to work differently. They begin to find one that would have been suitable for them if they have waited. And what happened at that point? The couple now begin to come against each other. There is nothing worse and painful like when two people in a relationship begin to compete against each other, and it leads to blackmail, betrayal. One person carrying the load and the other person lagging behind and eating. Complain everywhere. There's nothing you do that will not be judged or criticized. Nothing.
It's true.
Other women now are better than you. Look at your hair, your kinky hair. Look at you, look like a big old witch. And now you become the gossip of that man or that woman in their offices. Continue, my dear.
And you're ridiculed also by a mistress that he might take, even while you're his wife. And she now can come and disgrace you, tell you whatever she likes, make you feel uncomfortable, and he does nothing about it. Or vice versa. It happens to the men, and it also happens to the women.
Yeah.
And that is bad. And that is bad. Then you go into depression. You even think, about suicide. Things that you wouldn't normally do under other circumstances. So that's why I believe it is good to wait, to find the right person, so that your life, you can save your life as well. Because a lot of people even get killed, in the process.
Yeah.
Are there any others that want to contribute?
I was thinking of the pressure. Yeah, I was thinking from experience of interacting with women who were much older than me when I was in community college and when I was doing my bachelor's degree especially. I met quite a few older women who had finally found the opportunity to finish their education because they got married early, and for two main reasons. The religious reason. the fact that you can become part of an organization, a religious organization that insists that women must marry early to avoid fornicating. That's one.
Mm-hmm.
And the pressures that come with that when you, as you know, between the ages of 18 and 24, you haven't found yourself, your brain is not fully formed, you don't know who you are, you haven't had any opportunity to explore life, to explore experiences and find out what you really want and who you really are and become that person that solid individual within yourself, on the inside of yourself, spiritually as well as emotionally. And the other one that I recognize as well from interacting with other women is that depending on what economic class you are part of, depending on what family structure or background you are part of, people are forced into marriage early because Mr. So-and-so's daughter is married, but mine isn't. Why is Mr. So-and-so's daughter married and mine is not? Why is Mr. So-and-so's son able to catch that beautiful young girl, but my son is not? And among themselves, especially within the middle class, upper middle class, the wealthy class, depending on where you come from, there is a lot of talk, a lot of gossip, a lot of ridicule because it's happening to other people's daughters and sons, but it's not happening to yours. So something must be wrong with your daughter because she didn't get a man to marry her early. Or something must be wrong with your son because he couldn't find a woman that saw him attractive enough to marry him. So we have to think of the pressures of social class and people's religious backgrounds as well.
True. And also, I see that people that go into marriages young too, after they've lived, a while and they grow apart and whatever, they begin now to feel like they've wasted their time getting married in the first place because things did not work out as they had hoped. They go in with the white picket fence mentality and, the fairy tale, but then they realize that once they get in, it's hard work, it's responsibility. You got the responsibility of children, you got the responsibility of earning, so that you can put food on the table. And sometimes they can't take it. It's too much. And so they begin to...
Yeah, and you have the in-laws who put a lot of pressure on you, especially on the woman.
That's right. And you almost begin to feel like a slave because here you are giving everything almost, and the man is giving nothing. He can come home and sit down and say, get me this and get me that. Both of you would have worked all day, but he gets a chance to relax, but not you. You have to come in and work all over again. So it looked like he got two jobs. And it's very draining. It's very draining. And then when he wants to have fun, he can't because you're too tired.
And depending on where you come from, and depending on where you come from, marrying late is considered ridicule.
That's right.
Yes. If you marry late, people ridicule you. People in the community, people in your family ridicule you because you are considered old stock, for want of a better word.
Yes.
You have been on the shelf so long that you're no longer that precious, valuable goods that any man could have come to pick and found attractive enough to buy and take home. So you're like old stock. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not good. That's not good. That's not good at all. And
it's generally, the pressure is generally on the woman. Everyone else remember that too. The pressure to marry early, the pressure to have children early is generally on the female.
True. Is that the reason why millennials now are not getting married? They don't think that, hey, mindset now is they don't need anyone. They can do it by themselves. They can be happy by themselves because they would have seen so much so many bad things happening, if not to a friend, to a family, and they say, well, not me, I'm not getting involved. They've seen too many quarrels, too many divorces and separation, disappointments. So they say to themselves, I'm going to work and I'm going to do me. Do you think that's why that's why a lot of people are opting not to marry nowadays?
Yes, from what I know, from my experiences with young people that I have interacted with, yes. They recognize that it's not something that's working. There's so much to lose, and it can be very stressful. So they decide that, especially the young, quite a number of the females that I taught would tell me that they don't want to get married because they've seen what it did to their parents, because their parents got divorced. It didn't last. Yeah.
Okay. Is there anyone else before we wrap up?
Let's not forget, too, on the state of California, if you are married here, let's say that you had your own business and then somebody marries into you, that person can take all of it or half of it. And there's some churches are saying don't do prenup. Some coaches are saying don't do prenup. There's others that are not in church. They're telling people you better do some prenups. So somebody's going to become homeless. It's either the mom with the kids or the dad is going to become homeless. And that's a hard pill to take. And don't let it be if you're someone who was in the service, because you also have people looking for them to take whatever benefits that we have to fight for. There's a lot of veterans that are not married either for the same reason, because they're afraid that if they get married, that they're going to take their only house that they were able to buy.
And you got to understand that everyone that comes into your life, they didn't come to love you. Some come with an agenda. They size you up, they see what you have, and they say, okay, I know what to do. Let's get married. Because the next thing they're going to find themselves in a divorce court, and you're going to have to split things in half, things that they haven't even worked for.
Yes. So for some, it's a matter of it's a plan to get stuff easy.
Yes.
It's a plan
and it's
to
not
get
right.
Stuff. Yeah, it's really horrible. I hate that. So that's where a lot of the pain and suffering, and disappointment comes in. But I thank God that we can talk about these things so that we would learn to walk away from stuff that doesn't look good, that doesn't make us feel good, that there's no happiness, there's no peace. We can walk away without even getting committed to a relationship.
Does it make sense for you to work all your life and you have like over $250 million US put aside, either in assets or in cash, and then someone walk into your life with a carry-on luggage, a briefcase or a handbag, and one check-in luggage. And one check-in luggage. And then, because that person signed a paper that says both of you are husband and wife, that gives the person entitlement to half of that 250 million. And to your asset. Like Samantha said, is that fair? Is that fair?
No, it's not.
It's not. I really hate it because I've seen it happen to people that I know. Not necessarily happen to 250 million, but people who had a lot of wealth. Yes.
Oh.
Yes, I've seen it happen to them. I hate it.
There you go. So getting married is another name for something stable, something reliable, something great, something good. And it's also another name for Johnny and Jane are farmers, business. Yeah, both of them are scam artists in business. Yeah, because each of them is coming knowing what they want out of the relationship. They know what they are getting involved in.
Wow.
That's why many of them will not marry. That's why many of them will not marry a drug dealer. Some of them will not marry people into high-class sports like basketball and football and soccer, because they see some of those men, they get angry, they will shoot somebody, they will kill somebody. Yeah, they will not marry those people. They will not marry drug dealers because they know those people don't waste time. They will shoot you and flee to somewhere else or something. So a lot of people want somebody that is mellow and calm. It's like they are all coming into relationship as young people with a weapon. They are coming in with a weapon. They are coming in for war. They know that relationship now is warfare. It's warfare.
They are coming in as bad John.
Prepare for war. Prepare for war. That's what it is.
Shoot. Prepare to fight.
Yeah. You see the way she put it that they are here to fight. Yep.
Here to fight.
That's what it is. Yep.
Wow.
You are not ready to fight, don't get involved in marriage. I don't care how spiritual you are.
Wow.
So you're dealing with bad John.
Yep. This is a very, very interesting topic you are bringing out tonight.
Yeah, we need to know the ins and outs, because so we wouldn't be conned.
Yeah.
So how do we tell our young ones about not marrying early? Let's tackle it. I'll go back into mute. How do we tell our young ones that they should not marry too early? How do we tell them? Let's tackle that question.
Well, first of all, I think that you have to have a relationship with them for you to be able to, talk. Because a lot of nowadays, parents and children don't have a whole lot of relationship because they're busy doing their own thing, and they listen to other people more than they listen to them in the house. So you have to build a relationship with them, I think, to be able to talk to them about these things.
Yes. Very true. Very true. If you don't have a relationship with them, whatever you are saying, you are just wasting your time, because they'll still listen
That's
to others.
true. Going on their affairs. So I think you have to have a relationship first, that you can sit down and talk to them, or reason with them, not just tell them they shouldn't marry at a young age, but give them reasons why.
Yeah, exactly.
And then let them make the decision.
Yeah.
And you have to set the example.
You have created.
Yes.
Because your children watch what you do, and they remind you of the good and the bad. And if there seems to be an imbalance of more bad than good, they are quick to draw reference to it, to put you in your place when you want to play big daddy or big mama and want to correct them.
That's true.
Apart from building relationships and having that open line of communication with your kids, you have to also set the example. They must see you doing it the so-called right way, so that they can model it, and it becomes part of their psyche. it becomes part of their psyche, part of their memory bank, the good things that you do. Just as the bad things that you do, they don't forget it. They will remind you of it. So setting an example, modeling the example for them is really, really important. More. So I really understand when people say, do as I say, not as I do. But for children, it's do as I do and do as I say.
That is right.
Children want both.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anyone else that want to say something before we wrap up?
Yeah, I think continuous talking to our children is very important, not just one time. With examples, some parents may not be able to give examples because they keep making the same mistakes all the time. So that the children may not be able to learn all the proper examples they need to. But then continuous talking. And also, if parents will be able to admit their wrongs, okay, we did it this way, it didn't work, I was wrong doing this way, and so from there, I want people to learn it this way. This way is the right way. I think that will also help our kids. Continuous talk. Because a lot of the things they see on TV is appealing to them. Like our daddy said, Prophet said, anything, as a child, everything and anything is attractive. They want to taste, they want to see, they want to experience. But sometimes, people say experience is the best teacher. But that is a very hard or painful teacher sometimes. But so we just need to continue to talk to our children, from our personal lives and also from things we have seen around. We just continue to talk to them. Let them also understand the fact that within these ages, they are not, because at this age, they actually think that they know all. They think that they know. Or when we were growing, we also thought that we knew. So we have to explain that part to them. And also the part that the emotional damage that comes with this breakdown in relationships and marriages is heavier than physical, the physical. So we have to explain that one to them also. And in addition, back them up with prayer. Serious prayer, seriously. Yeah. For me, I wish that everyone who will marry will just come to our ministry for marriage school before, because the things that we have heard, even though we are grown-ups or growing, there are a lot of things that I didn't know, but when I hear from here, it so shocks me. So I just wish that everyone who go into marriage will come to our school. Well, we should also put it out there. We know friends, family members who are going to get married. And if we don't think we can talk to them, we can tell them, please, our ministry is there. Contact the prophet and go through some teachings, go through some counseling and learning before you go into it. So it's also our duty to tell people that there's a school here. There's a school. We are not joking here. We are very, very practical. Not just the talk. We are very, very practical. I know there are questions that the bishop will ask you, and then you yourself you realize that you don't know anything at all. So let's get the word out there also. Tell people, yeah.
Okay, so what about if your daughter or your son has already heard from outside that getting married and having kids when you are young is a better way, and you've talked to them that it is not the best way, and they say, well, Mommy Annie, Mommy Samantha, Mommy Maria, Mommy Mary, you are telling me not to do it. What about you and Daddy did it? And God saw both of you through. And here am I. Why shouldn't I do it and get it over with? How do we approach such? How do we approach them? And then they will give you an example and say, look at Johnny and Jenny. I mean, look at them. Look at them. They have a child. The question that they are not asking is, you see, they are different kind of kids. They are different kind of children. You see, quality matters. Having children is one thing, but having quality children is one thing. Being in a relationship is one thing, but being in quality one is a different ballgame. Getting married is one thing, but being in a quality marriage is a different ballgame, a happy one. Okay?
That's right.
How do we tell them the difference in all of this? That all that glitters is not gold.
Yes.
All that look nice may not look very good. And that even though the rats are popping out of their holes and think that their hole is a castle, well, they fail to tell you that they live on a nervous breakdown because of the cat in the house. And that the rats inside the house are looking even for a way to escape back to the bush and will never come back to that house. And if another rat in the bush want to go into the house and say, I heard that there's a lot of food in that house, the rat that has just escaped back to the bush will say, well, I do not need to tell you anything. You have to go and find out. Yeah, there's a lot of good food in the house, in that house. But the good rat will not tell the stupid rat out there that there is a cat in the house. No, they won't. Everything is good. Go in and eat and enjoy. Don't you see how fat I look? Looking fat and sleek does not mean that you are fat and sleek in the brain or in the head. Yep.
Wow.
So how do you explain that to them? They say, well, they struggled through it. It was so full of pain, but they made it. And they do not understand that 70% of those who went through the same thing did not make it. They perished or they became a statistic. Let me tell you something. The Holy Spirit said to me, do you see all these people at the airport? Do you see all these people at the street? I said, yes. The Holy Spirit said to me, in 3 to 5 years' time, everyone you see in this crowd will be recycled back to trash. I said, are you serious? He said, yes. I said, how? He said, none of them will become rich or wealthy. The highest they could go is the lower middle class, or there will be bums on the street. I've never forgotten that.
Wow.
I don't want quantity. I want quality.
Yeah.
I'm serious. I want the best.
Yeah.
Give me few, but let it be quality. And if you are going to give me a whole lot, if you want to give me quantity, make sure each of them is quality. If not, I don't want it. I don't want it. Take note of what Vivian said today. Suffering due to relationship and marriage can even result in you wanting to commit suicide, wanting to kill yourself. I have seen women who suffered so much in the hand of a man, beatings and so on, that they poisoned themselves and poisoned their children and got out of the way. And they all died. And of course, they poisoned the stupid man. He also died. I don't want to hear such a thing. I don't want to see such a thing. Vivian, continue.
Okay. We heard a lot tonight. Some of us have young teenagers and whatever. Don't wait until they're 18 and to 24 or whatever. Begin to talk to them from now. Begin to model for them. And you would see what you would produce. They listen to you and they would do the right thing. So I just want to say thank you tonight. Tonight was very, very, very educational. It was also very emotional for some. But at least I'm glad we were able to put it out there so you can go home and analyze your own life and see what we would do different so that we can help our young people. So I just want to say again, thank you so much. Thanks for your participation. And we'll see again on Friday night. Archbishop, I want to thank you for interjecting. We've learned a lot. And everyone else that spoke. Yes?
Please, are we going to continue this? Because I think when you started, there was a other question about getting married when you are older also. Are we going to continue this topic?
Yes, we can continue that on Friday.
Okay.
Yes. So I want to say thank you and do have a wonderful evening. So
I want to take this opportunity to thank you, Ms. Vivian, or Reverend Vivian. Thank you so much. You are such a blessing to us and such a good mother in our mission. Thank you so much for going through what you went through in life and teaching us from experience and teaching us from biblical truth, because biblical truth is experience.
Yes.
Faith is fact manifesting. Thank you so much. On behalf of us, all of us, we thank you.
And I thank you as well. Thanks for the opportunity to share. Thank you. So we'll see again on Friday, God willing, and we'll continue where we left off. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.